So without any more bloviating from me, I'd like to introduce to the mic my good friend, Jared Yanis of Guns and Gadgets.
I don't know who the hell he's talking about. I'm just average Joe. Thank you guys and gals for coming. I got some extra security today for some reasons that I didn't talk about with many people. But when you tell the truth, sometimes you piss people off. I like to threaten people. So don't mind my friends. Before I get going, I want to thank everybody. Dave, thank you for not giving in and kicking the can when we could have done it very easily. Thank you everybody who did show up. Thank you for the club for staying with this and showing the Americans in this Commonwealth that sometimes freedom means more than a flu. Thank you, everybody. Before I get going, actually, while I was talking to some of you out here, I don't know if anybody knows a buddy of mine on YouTube, Such. He's kind of huge. I got a message that was forwarded to me from him. And there's a lot in this little meme that he put out that has a lot to do with what's going on right now. In 1933, Adolf Hitler appointed Hermann Göring Minister of the Interior. His first orders were to defund and eliminate the police departments so that they would not interfere with his brown shirts. The brown shirts' mission was to riot, burn, beat up, and kill citizens in an effort to sway the elections to ensure their National Socialist agenda. Ring a bell? Now, today's American socialist leaders want to defund and eliminate the police. Is history repeating itself? Wasn't planned, but he sent me that. I think it's perfect for today. So, I have written 4 different speeches for this event. Because so much has changed in the last 2 weeks. The version I'm going to say, I didn't finish writing until about 2:15 a.m. this morning. So if it doesn't flow well, I'm tired. But this needs to be said. So first off, if you do not know what Guns and Gadgets is, it started out as a YouTube channel where somebody had to tell the truth about what was going on. And I was lucky enough to have an inside source because I was in law and I could read law and I knew what it meant and I could see the hidden agenda within stuff that Capitol Hill or even Beacon Hill passed. So I started reporting on stuff, and slowly the channel's grown to a point where I never even thought it would be. We're over 250,000 subscribers, 36 million views. It's humbling. It's absolutely humbling. And I thank you for it. Because of you, I get to do what I truly love doing. So again, thank you all for having me. If you have, before I forget, I know they're doing a gun raffle, but right to the left of that firearm are some limited edition Guns and Gadgets stickers that I won't even charge you for. They're free to take them. All right, so in addition to my channel, I get some perks. I get to play with a lot of cool guns and gear and stuff like that, but I also get to meet a lot of people around the nation, just like me, just red-blooded Americans who love freedom. My channel prides itself on alerting we the people of what government tries and doing it with integrity. There are a lot of people out there that like to bring on ire or divide people just to get ratings and stuff like that. I don't have time for that. I really don't, because there's too many infringements to look up. We now live in a time where politicians legislate based on crowd chants and signs held at protests and riots. Our elected officials no longer care about what their constituents want, but what leads them to a victory in the next election, the next paycheck. Congress members are more concerned with photo ops than honoring their oaths by protecting and defending the United States Constitution and our way of life. As I go through this, I'm shifting because my back is on fire, so sorry. Activists now lead these politicians around by a leash, telling them what to do, what to say, and what bills to submit. They often ensure their demands are followed by using the power of the almighty dollar, and it's been very successful. Michael Bloomberg and George Soros hate me, but they spend millions of dollars of their own money to carry out a dangerous agenda. Their narrative is one of a new world order. I'm sure you've heard of that. This is where big government gets to tell their subjects what they can and cannot do and how to do it, among others. Pressure has mounted on the shoulders of selectmen, city councilors, mayors, and governors, to where some of them now feel free to blatantly violate our rights without remorse. Excuses are given for violating the right to assemble, the right to free speech, the right to pursue happiness by working, running your own business, and earning a living. And yes, even the right to keep and bear arms, as you heard today. Citizens in several states even had to sue their governors and attorneys general in federal court to force them to remove these illegal executive orders. As you heard, that happened here in Massachusetts. I like to stay humble, but somebody had to introduce GOA and the two-way attorney. You're welcome. It wasn't Mara that called you guys, was it? We need to be aware that this is their new normal. Make no mistake. One where they can take away your rights because of a virus, or to force you into bankruptcy, or cause you to lose your home based off of inflated statistics shaped to further their agenda. The proof is out there, just look. Strong people say what they think out loud. That's why we're here today. But far too often we're ignored by our elected leaders. We consider ourselves the silent majority. Well, it's time to look at our own reflections in the mirror. What has that gotten us? For starters, it has helped to fracture our very way of life. Far too often, major decisions are made based off of knee-jerk reactions, either to an event that causes mass emotions to explode, or something that the agenda just doesn't want. I'm not only talking about the last 3 weeks. The school shootings, the Republican baseball games ring a bell? Haven't had a school shooting since they closed the schools, right? But they still want to take the guns.
Right, exactly, right? Seriously?
They're thinking of new things. Why our society has evolved into this is amazing. We are now a bunch of people who are so worried about what our followers think of our last tweet, or how many likes my picture on Instagram can get. We're in a time where differing opinion than that of the emotional majority can get you shamed, fired, or killed. Over the last 30 to 40 years, the amount of people who no longer truly value our rights as American citizens has grown exponentially. To people like us, it's unimaginable, but it's happening. We here, we consider ourselves patriots. We love this country, right down to its very fabric. Many of us have served or have family members who have served this great nation in ways that sadly, more and more people just don't understand. The sacrifices made, the lives lost, the list goes on, and we all know it and we all feel it daily. But some of the choices we've made, or went along with in our time, has helped to grow this group of people who have socialist and progressive views. Even get them elected. What shocked me the most, this was about 1:45 a.m., was realizing that most of this was done unknowingly or unwillingly on our parts. We simply did what every parent wants to do, is to keep the kids safe. Let me try to explain. When I think back to when I was a little buck, we used to ride big wheels and bicycles down hills, over jumps. We'd fall, wipe out, get bruised up, but we didn't die. It was a rite of passage. You fast forward a few years, and when I was now in high school and the younger bucks on the street were taking my place on the big wheels and bikes, they looked like spacemen. Giant helmets, wrist and elbow and knee pads, bubble wrap all around them. It was the new way for the kids to be safe. All attempts at reducing risks of scrape, nicks, or cuts, or God forbid, a broken bone, were removed by parents who just wanted to keep their little ones okay. And it's used against us. A lot. Like I said, perhaps unintentional, but parents wanted to keep little Billy or little Susie free from the pain of the real world. And that played a huge part in where this nation stands today. Another example. When we were young, our parents would basically kick us out of the house for the entire day and say, go out and play.
Right.
As long as they kind of had an idea where we would be and who we'd be with, because there were none of these things, they're okay. We had one steadfast rule that you did not violate. Be home when? The street lights come on. And for the most part it worked and we turned out okay. For the most part. We learned how to coexist with actual people.
Right.
People who we didn't always see eye to eye with. Came from different backgrounds, had different beliefs, different nationalities, different races, different religions. Imagine that. We played, we argued, we fought, and we made up. That taught us so many intangible things that would prove to be pillars of becoming a solid man or a woman who knew the value of respect, honor, trust, integrity, and most importantly, when to keep our mouths shut.
Yeah.
If not, then we learn the hard way. And sometimes that was the best way to learn. Fast forward again to when a single item hit mainstream America. This single item would fundamentally change that peer interaction that taught so many generations how to communicate or to be empathetic to others. It was the internet. The internet became a crutch for this entire nation. A tool that strengthened our country because people could be more productive, more efficient, and more reachable. Americans would become busier than ever because the new world was now at their fingertips. We can even run businesses today without ever physically seeing another human being in our office, if ever at all. That eventually evolved into smartphones and social media. Gone were the days of physically hanging around with your friends. Now you can just virtually be with them by liking their picture on Facebook. Shoot them a text instead of calling them on the phone and seeing them in person. Shots fired. American society as a whole began to retract from each other. We don't like to talk to each other anymore. We don't go outside as much anymore. And more recently, we weren't even allowed to go outside. I don't know about you guys, but the first thing I did was go out and they said not to. We also forgot that saying the wrong thing to the wrong person at the wrong time had consequences. And that is lost on this generation. We created these generations that did not have to work that hard at all because of technology. It made everything easier. I have to go see my mom. She's going to complain all day. I'll just shoot her a text. It was too easy to get away from the things that make us better people. We spend so much time nowadays vilifying inanimate objects that people rant about in forums or on message boards. I mean, can you believe people actually think it's a gun's fault when a madman hell-bent on inflicting violence does horrific things? There are a lot of people out there that think that way. No longer do we hold people accountable. Look at the court system. It's a joke. Unless you have Andrew Kuchar or maybe you're Jane McMahon. Instead, we're now quick to make excuses, point the finger, or even worse, legislate based off of the evil deeds of a handful of maniacs. Make everybody pay for one person. It used to be the other way around. We even let convicted criminals out of prison because they might catch the flu. Again, we're just trying to keep everyone safe, is what they'll tell you. What we really did was make it that much easier for those people who want to destroy our country. They can influence elections much easier because we've become lazy. And we don't want to go all the way to the polling locations and stand in line. I'll vote next time. Elections have consequences. In turn, and far too often, their candidates won a lot. Then they submit unconstitutional bills that their sugar daddies demanded when they paid for their elections. Some states have been totally flipped on end by this new blueprint. Look what happened in Virginia last November. Michael Bloomberg himself has spent some serious money, and he has totally changed a once very conservative and gun-friendly state into a Democrat-run gun control cesspool. And he did it in a 3-month time. Bloomberg's plan has worked. He's banking on the fact that conservatives don't get out and vote, especially in non-presidential years. And we paid dearly with Virginia. You know what? This plan is actually working to perfection if you follow it. George Soros, he does the exact same thing, but uses the other side of the coin. He personally funds extreme activists that don't want me standing here right now talking to you. Activists that aren't like those of us gathered here today in support of our country, our flag, and our rights. No, his activists are busted around the nation to cause terror, to burn buildings and destroy communities. I think I just read you that, right, from 1933. Don't forget Soros, if you don't know, he turned on his own people in World War II. They looked to intimidate people and make them fear coming outside. And make them not want to go out and vote. And it works. It really does work. Look around lately. Can you think of areas where this is working? I can think of an entire state. It used to be called Minnesota. It started in Minneapolis. How can we peacefully stop this speeding locomotive that is laser focused on absolute power? Well, first let me say that we still can't stop them. Believe me when I tell you we can. Peacefully first. There is still time, but that time is running out. Michael Bloomberg has set personal targets. If I can get this paper to come across, I can remember part of it. And those are up this year. Those are his dominoes to fall, and we'll talk about that here. We have to absolutely get out and vote. We have to vote for candidates like Jay McMahon. This man stepped up to fight to replace Maura Healey, the belly of the beast. He's still fighting to serve us. He put himself out for us. And it is our duty as freedom-loving Americans to support candidates like Jay, who aren't doing it for financial gain, because I guarantee you as an attorney he makes more than he will working in Boston. He's doing it because he loves the flag. He loves the nation. He loves what his family served to protect. We need to get motivated, because we're not. We're the silent majority, and it's kicking us in the ass. We have to get our friends and our neighbors and our family out to vote. Many of them have given up. I'm sure you've heard it. How many times you hear say, I don't vote anymore. It doesn't make a difference. They don't pick my person anyway. They don't listen. People start to believe that now. We have to motivate them, because this year, this November, could be our last shot. This November 2020, the presidency is up for grabs. This November, every single seat in the United States House of Representatives is up for election. All 435 of them. Nancy Pelosi's wrinkly ass included. Here comes the next death threat. This November, 35 seats in the United States Senate are up for election. That's over a third of the U.S. Senate. I hope you're good at math. 100% of the House, over a third of the Senate. That's room for real change, guys and gals. This November, 11 different states and 2 different U.S. territories will hold gubernatorial elections. We need to shake off this new lazy virtual way of life. We need to get up off our asses and we need to go vote. And if you have to physically grab your family, do it. Rent a bus. Whatever you have to do, get your neighborhood out to vote. Because our future absolutely depends on it. This is where we come in. The time is now. Now is the time to talk to your candidates. If you don't know the name Jay McMahon, you're living under a rock. He's right there. Spend some time with this man. This is where you get to ask those questions that you always wonder about. Do these politicians really care? The guy's right there. He comes to these events to be, he's one of us. This is the time you start calling your representatives. And I know it can sound intimidating, but you know what? Their blood pumps through their veins just like you and I. In fact, they are our employees. Call them. Go to their office hours in your districts and ask questions. If you're a gun lover, ask them this no matter what they say, if they're for the Second Amendment or not. Ask them, were you one of the 95% that voted for bump stocks? And watch them squirm. And that's how you know how you should vote. Ask them if they want to ban things like firearms, because it's on their agenda. One thing, as a side note, I like to tell my, I'm not really friends, but my officials that serve my area are kind of gun friendly, considering it's Massachusetts. And what I tell them is, I know you're outnumbered when bills get to the floor. I know it. But I'd have more respect for you if you went down swinging instead of going down looking. Now is the time to take the country back. It's not going to be easy. Not at all. Michael Bloomberg and his groups, Every Town for Gun Safety and Moms Demand Action. They are working extremely hard, harder than we are. I've seen them in action, a lot harder than we are. And they're making sure that the very blueprint that destroyed Virginia will work this year. They've targeted Arizona and Texas as this year's target. And I know firsthand that there are over 400,000 volunteers for Bloomberg in Texas right now. Are there 400,000 of us out there working to save it? And that's where they win. It's that easy. You got to get out and talk to people. George Soros and his band of merry idiots are salivating for another opportunity to riot and intimidate. Another community to burn down, more people to scare, to keep them from voting. To me, the path is clear. We need to vote the communists out of office. That's it. They need to hear the voices of the very American citizens that they have chosen to ignore for far too long. No longer can we be the silent majority. We talked up once, and we got Donald Trump elected. But we rested on our morals, and we've lost a lot of ground. Can't do it, guys. We just have to stay busy. It could be huge. Think of the children. We have to do everything in our power to keep them safe. And turning the country over to anarchists isn't the answer. Now this morning when I was coming in, this isn't even part of the speech, so I hope I remember everything. I want to paraphrase. Yesterday in Baltimore County, Maryland, so many of our kids now are doing this Zoom school, right? This sit home and talk to the screen and either pass or fail. They don't even want to do grades anymore. Well, one kid was he's a 5-year-old kid. He's a scout, and in preparation to become an Eagle Scout down the road, he started to shoot airsoft and BB guns and take up archery to get the badges. One lily-livered liberal teacher saw in his room behind him, he had his airsoft gun, his BB gun, and a very small compound bow mounted on the wall. Well, that coward called the school, and they called the school officer, called the police. The police showed up at the kid's door demanding to search the house for weapons. What law did they break?
Don't even show up at my house. What the hell's going on?
The mother actually, she let them in. It's a different story altogether.
First wrong move.
First wrong. But they found no problems. Luckily, the guys and gals who responded knew that kids shoot BB guns and you don't cause wars. But it still happens. Now this is what they're moving towards. If they see anything in your home on a video that's near your child, they're going to send the Gestapo. Also, I want to talk about the Chaz. Chaz is why these guys are here today behind me. I did a quick video the other day and told people how Antifa and their buddies decided to commandeer a 6-block area of the city of Seattle. Now, personally, I don't think the city of Seattle is very valuable. But they started doing it under a protest. And I am somebody who, while I am a police officer, I might piss people off, I thoroughly believe in the Constitution. And it's their right to protest if they do it the right way. But the second you declare a 6-block section of land in the United States of America as a sovereign country, and you kick out the police department, and you take over a fire department, and you set up a wall, and you ID people, and you start asking the businesses in that area for $500 for protection, you're a terrorist. That has led to the unfortunate threat here today, because I pissed off a lot of people with that video, but I don't care. The second you decide that your movement is bigger than the nation, bigger than the country, bigger than the U.S. Constitution, you want to become your own nation, and you have to suffer the pains, you have to suffer the struggle, because we're done with you. So they're now putting out lists of demands. They have demands like rent control throughout Seattle, or we'll stay here and piss all over the streets. They have demands like everybody should be coddled and held, and I heard their new statute for their new country is going to be a big pacifier. But these people are being led astray by the groups that prey on the people who are emotional to respond. And it's led, there are a lot, I've seen videos of people there are a lot of good people there. They're just hippieing it up. Big street party. But what they don't tell you is that Antifa, and I monitor their Twitter, hey guys, they're calling for more people with guns to come to the Chaz. They're calling for supplies. Why would they do that if it's just peaceful and they just want to smoke rainbows and unicorns, right? This is George Soros. This is what he does. Mark my words, when we get close to November, it will get worse. I want to thank everybody for coming out today. It really means a lot. I've met a lot of new people. I'm nobody special. I'm just somebody who has a talent to read bills and can translate it into English. If I can make a change, however small, you can do more than me. Get your friends out to vote. Get your family out to vote. Our future absolutely depends on it. We can make the biggest change probably in the history of our lives with one election. There's so much to do and so little time to do it. Thank you everybody for your time. Check out Guns and Gadgets if you want to know the truth. Sometimes it gets you yelled at. But if I can help anybody in any way, come see me.